chance that he would have been on Olbanan at the time and therefore become a victim of the plague, just as all the others. It was his added good fortune that he wasn't on Olipan either, as had been the former High Commander Xanus. All the senior command on the planet perished, along with thousands more. It was a devastating event and also a masterstroke on the part of Allied command. It was what saved their side from utter and inevitable defeat. But now Linus was attempting to circumvent all that had happened. He was trying something so radical, so revolutionary, that if successful, the war for the Milky Way could be over in a matter of months. But there was much more than just victory riding on the experiment. Destiny was also at stake. After the plague, the Klin and the Newfound were shocked and appalled by the millions of deaths, and many began to question the wisdom of the venture into the so-called home galaxy. Were the deaths worth it? Was the Milky Way galaxy worth so many casualties? Very few in the Newfound considered the home galaxy to be home any longer. To the vast majority, the Newfound was their home, as it had been for 4,000 years, and not this alien galaxy in a foreign dimension that, until 10 years ago, had only existed as vague references in ancient history texts. Linus felt differently. He believed in the mission to bring about Klin rule in this new galaxy as it had once been deemed their right. The Klin began the march to galactic colonization and organization thousands of years ago within the Milky Way. It was always their destiny to rule the galaxy. In a few hours, he would know whether his experiment would lead to a rapid and conclusive victory for the Klin. If so, then the Klin would rule over 2 galaxies and become the greatest power to ever exist, anywhere. The markers had already been set by the 37 transdimensional starships that jumped briefly from the Newfound. It was proven that the transitory forays from one dimension to another associated with the TD drive left tiny trace signals in the fabric of space, signals that could be charted and tracked. This allowed Linus to position another 37 TD ships in the Milky Way in the same relative positions as those in the Newfound. The ships were arranged in a circle in space, covering a diameter of 14,000 converted miles. The science was solid. At the distance between each ship, the openings in the fabric between galaxies would be joined with the openings of the other starships. A portal would then be established within the circle that would be larger than any created by land-based arrays and by a factor of 10, allowing 90 warships at a time to transit, either on chemical drive or on low-gravity wells. But the truly revolutionary aspect of the experiment was that Linus could then create portals anywhere he wanted. They would be transitory and stealthy, appearing and disappearing as he saw fit. There would be no need for large, elaborate, and stationary facilities that were constant targets for Allied fleets. And he could open a dozen such portals at a time using the TD fleet already in existence. And the Klin were building hundreds more, with TD travel destined to become the standard mode of transport throughout both galaxies. If successful, Linus will have opened up the space between universes to easy and constant traffic, allowing the full military might of the Newfound to rain down upon the Milky Way. The Allies would not know what hit them when a dozen new fleets appeared throughout the galaxy, each ready for action. Linus had 20 of the Io-class warships positioned in the Newfound to test the integrity of the portal once it was established. They would pass through, first into the Milky Way, and then return to the Newfound by the same portal. For his part, Linus was in an LP-class cruiser chock full of monitoring equipment. He had 9 other ships stationed around the circle to record and survey the experiment. If it worked, then the Klin would be in a position to implement the new strategy immediately. And it would be Linus who would get the credit.